Alright, this is a flight from Sierra Blanca Regional, which is in New Mexico, on the PMDG Boeing 737-800. This was our destination on our last our Virtual Airlines last flying. We do every Sunday, we do a flying, and this is where we flew to, so I'm going to be flying back to Los Angeles right now. Okay, I need to change the control options. I can't remember. Yeah, I do have set for that. Okay. So that's the parking brake making all that noise. So there we go. Okay, I just gotta make sure we got some ground power. GPU cart request. And that will show up right here. Here it is. There it is. The light comes on. Now we have ground power. So I don't want to run the batteries down. Okay. Make sure all my secondary stuff is on and connected. It looks like Albuquerque Center is online, which we'll see that as soon as we connect to VATSIM. Oh look, the live map is working on SimToolkit Pro today. Amazing. So yes, Albuquerque Center is online, so is Albuquerque Approach. So we will talk to Albuquerque Center. 132.8. Checks are set. Set standby to Unicom. That's all good. That's all good. They're gonna give us a number. I don't hear them. Is there no traffic flying through the area? There are a few planes, but they seem to be. They might all be. Anyway, so power's on. Come up here, turn our inertial reference system on to nav. Then we will turn on hydraulic pumps. Our cruising altitude says flight level 320. 32,000 feet. We'll set that. Landing altitude Los Angeles is 140 feet above sea level. Okay, those lights are on. Emergency lights armed. That goes on. Ground power is generating 150 volts. So we'll turn the yaw damper on. There it goes. Alright. So now we need to do fuel. Our fuel's going to be 18,100. Push that in. Return payload. Full. That's our cargo, our zero fuel weight, 138.3, and that's what we have on our flight plan, so that's all good. Back to our menu, FMC. I guess current position initialization. So we're going to do this. We're at KS RR. So this is our flight plan, KSR to KLAX. Please here, company route. Flight plan request, select. It's requesting it now. Should be turning on the weather. So I don't know what the weather's like here today. Looks pretty nice. Lovely day in New Mexico. And now I'm not hearing anything on radio because I haven't connected to VATSIM yet. Duh. KE738. What am I doing? There we go. Connect. Well, that's interesting. There's a company aircraft there. 127.4. We're center. 132.8, 132.8. That's what I'm on. Alright, flight plan. Load. Okay, that all looks good. It's flight plan. Wonder who that is. Have to open up a little nav map to find that out. That will tell me. That is Tom, the C. No, not the CEO.
Southwest 501, descend via the Lobo 3 arrival, Albuquerque landing west.
Lobo 3 landing west for Southwest 501.
Okay. Activate, execute, init, request. Hey guys.
Yep.
I see you, Tom.
Didn't see you come in.
I mean, I see you at Ruidoso, Sierra Blanca.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just messing around with some new stairway pictures. Jetway stuff.
240078. For the cruise wind, we'll do a derated takeoff and climb. Don't do this yet because we haven't done this yet. Our departure is going to be runway 24. No SID. Index arrival at LA's Seaview 2. It's going to be RNAV Zulu 25 left. Wait, I passed it. Right here. Seaview 2. Transition is 29 bombs. It says none here. Why would it do that? And the transition to the is it's gonna be Sea view. I don't understand why this says none, but we'll see if it's on our. I mean, yeah. I don't see any discontinuities. That's good. Right on. And we go back to init. Take off. Flaps. No, flaps 5. Come on. Flaps 5. CG 19.3. Trim. Elevator trim 6.06. Okay, 6.06. And let's see here. Let's get our weather information. The altimeter is 3013. Just like that. Okay. That's all good. Yeah. The runway heading is in the neighborhood of 240. It's 241 degrees, so we'll set our heading here. Altitude, we will set that after we hear from, or get our clearance from Albuquerque Center. We'll do that now. Albuquerque Center, Pacific 7012 on the ground at Sierra Blanca. IFR to Los Angeles for clearance, please. Answer came there, none. He's still on here.
Pacific 7012, you are cleared to Los Angeles as filed. Maintain 10,000. Expect flight level 320, 10 minutes after departure. Departure with me, squawk 1532.
Clear to Los Angeles as filed. Climb maintain 10,000. Expect flight level 320 and 10. And squawking 1532, Pacific 7812.
Pacific 7012, read back correction. Advise number 1 ready for departure. Change to advisory approved.
Say again, please.
Pacific 7012, read that correct. Advise number 1 ready for departure. Change to advisory frequency approved.
Advise number 1 for departure and change to advisory approved. 7812.
Albuquerque Center, JetBlue 1428 with you, 20,000.
JetBlue 1428, Albuquerque Center, climb maintain.
So that means he wants us on Unicom until we get airborne. So we can avoid conflict with any other traffic that might be departing the airport. I don't think Tom is, he's just messing around, he said. You heard him. So I'm gonna have to do a hard maybe do that right now. Okay. Why is it not working? Oh, I have to click and then hit enter. God, it's like I've never done this before. Okay. So 1532. That's our transponder code. Just like that. So when we're ready to push, we turn the transponder on so ATC can see what we're doing. Clear this to 10,000. Okay, we're all good there. Turn on the fuel tank number 1. Let's turn them all on. Turn on the APU. Get that started up. And we'll turn on the safety seatbelt signs. The APU is a small jet engine in the tail section here. It gives generates electrical power and hydraulic and pneumatic power. Maybe not hydraulic, but that's how we start the engines. They're so big that they need the air power. That's weird. Usually there's a heat bloom that comes out of here. I don't see it. Oh, it's working. Okay. Okay, we can hear the air conditioning now working. We'll turn these on. So we should be able to get off the ground power now. So here, ground, release ground power. Move the chocks. So you see we're disconnected from the ground power unit now. Getting electricity from the APU. We can check that up here. See, ground power is now gone. APU is now generating electricity. Okay. So now we want to push. I don't know if this is going to work because there's no real gates for big planes here at this airport, but take a chance. Sierra Blanca traffic, Pacific 7812, pushing back, starting engines. Okay, it's going to be like this. Okay, release parking brake. Okay, here we go. Oh. And it is turning. Okay, good. So, close that. Want to turn the packs off. And we're going to turn on engine starter here, number 1. Watching his N2, we want to wait for it to get to about 20, 21, 22. Now we introduce fuel. Watch for the fuel flow. There it goes. And I should be turning my transponder on. my anti-collision on. Okay. I didn't hit Tom, that's good. Check this. Make sure that, okay. Seems good. Okay, that's a good engine start. To the other engine. Generally speaking, once it gets to 20, you're close enough. Let's get our airport map out, and we're going to 4 via Alpha. Just like this. Okay, now that engine started. Now we can go to generate electricity from the engines and air power, pneumatic power from there. We can turn these back on, turn that on. Oh, I didn't run my tests. Yeah, sometimes that one don't work. And we can now turn the APU off. Pretty much you want to see all these lights out except for like these and those. Those could be on, but everything else should be off. Okay. This is good. Transponder. Check my VATSIM client. Make sure it says mode C. It does. Okay. And good, good. Turn on the auto throttle. Flight path vector. We'll turn that on when we get to the air runway. Okay. Sierra Blanca traffic Pacific 7812 taxiing to runway 24 via Alpha. Sierra Blanca. Try not to clip your wings on my way out. It looks like he's in the same airplane I am. He's on X-plane though, so but that's the paint job that I did for this plane. Same one. Okay. So we'll set the auto brake to rejected takeoff, set the flaps to 5. There the flaps start to move and come out. windsock. It looks windy here today. What is the wind? 230 degrees at 17, gusting to 21. Yeah, it was windy yesterday here. And we gotta set our trim here. Oh, this is 6.06, so right there. Get a little off the center line of the taxiway. So we're gonna arm, heading select, and VNAV. Have some fuel in the center tank. We're going straight out, or let's see here. Where's the next waypoint? Okay, I'm heading directly west. That's, don't know why I can't see it when I'm not in plan mode. Okay. Sierra Blanca traffic, Pacific 7812, lining up runway 24 for departure. Sierra Blanca. Okay, now landing lights on, strobe lights on. Alright, and start the elapsed time. Okay, we go 40% on the throttles. I messed up my toga button on my controller. I have to hit that screw now. Click on it. Okay, forward on the yoke. Accelerating.
Airspeed's alive.
You can see this runway's not quite level. It's got a bit of a hill here. So 80 knots. We're backing off yoke now. Checked. Let's go.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. Pilot will go to LNAV. Or will we? LNAV, here we go. Something weird going on here. Command, there it goes. Okay. Now we change over. Albuquerque Center, Pacific 7812, passing 9,000 feet. Direct Tango Charlie Sierra. Did he go off? Did he go offline? He went offline. Everybody went offline. Cowards. Why do the controllers always go offline when they see me?
Did you say something? I went offline.
I said, why do the controllers always go offline when they see me?
I know, I heard you. I was giving you shit. I don't know.
Damn it. Damn, I'm gonna get a terrain warning here. Alright. Alright, back to VNav. Okay, turn landing lights off. Taxi lights can go off. Everything else should be good. Just check my little nav map software here. See if there's anybody near me. Doesn't look like it. Okay. No ATC all the way. Let's see here. Let's look at the weather information for Los Angeles. Wind is 260 degrees at 12 knots. Visibility 10 statute miles. Some clouds. Temperature 14. Humidity 63%. Altimeter 3013, which is what it is here. So I don't have to change that. That's cool.
Any updates I'm going to need today, Tom?
Answer came there none.
Yeah, he's asleep.
Alright, it was a little bumpy leaving, but it seems to have smoothed out. I'm going to let the people get out of their seats now. Okay. Wait, we don't have to do that. We don't have to set the information like we do in the Airbus. We're good. I think. So yeah, we just have to pick a flap setting, and this is normally what I do, 30 degrees flaps. So our approach speed will be 153 knots. Why does this think we're going to 360? There we go. Unable! Well, do your best. That's a long leg, 157 miles. From T-Mac to tags. Yeah.
Hey, did you have any trouble pre-filing on VATSIM? I keep getting errors. Well, you do your SimBrave plan and then you go to pre-file on the network, and it's giving me error today. Ah, okay. Never mind.
that the government was ever on the side of the railroad workers. You know, we hear a lot of talk all the time, like take our country back, you know, this nostalgia to go back to the good old days when we played fair and workers had all these rights. And it really just doesn't exist. It's part of the mythology or the fantasy, I think, of many cultures, including ours. And so, yeah, the railroad industry has largely been, you know, deregulated. Both political parties are complicit. The ICC is gone, replaced by the Surface Transportation Board. And the Federal Railroad Administration, one could argue, has been captured, quote unquote, by the rail industry. For example, in the previous administration under Donald Trump, we had Ron Batori. Well, Ron Batori had been a CEO of railroads his entire life. So it's an obvious example of the fox guarding the hen house. So this is what we're up against, a very, very powerful industry that has extreme wealth to bestow upon different politicians of both political parties. And a lot of that is coming out, Jimmy, and it's pretty exciting to actually see the numbers and see the figures in a bunch of articles that have come out as recently as the last few days about the intensity of their lobbying efforts to get the government to not regulate them, to get safety rules and regulations either not adopted or the existing ones modified or done away with altogether. So this is what we're up against.
So this is just straight up corruption. This is what a system we have in the United States of legal bribery, where corporations and railroad tycoons can give money to the people who write the rules and set the laws in Congress, and then of course that's not democracy. That's called corruption. And so that's what we're living in right now. That's why something like East Palestine can happen. And instead of Joe Biden going to East Palestine, he goes to Kiev and gives them $10 billion.
They got to fix their railroads.
They got to fix their railroads in Ukraine.
Get their pensions.
And get their pensions and clean water. So there's a call to nationalize the railroad. How is that got the support of the rank and file, and who came up with the idea?
Well, Railroad Workers United has debated this question for well over a decade. Public ownership in this country has a black eye, even though there's lots and lots of things in this country that actually are publicly owned, like our transportation system, the highways, the waterways, the airports, the seaports, all of this is publicly held. And if you notice, there's not a whole lot of movement amongst Democrats or Republicans to privatize the highways. But the way I'm fond of putting it is this. Imagine if Schneider Trucking owned Highway 80, and imagine if J.B. Hunt owned Highway 70, and imagine if UPS owned Interstate 25. This is what we have on the railroad. Union Pacific owns the infrastructure. They own the main line. So across middle America, through Nebraska, Wyoming, and well, here where I live at Nevada, it's all Union Pacific. It used to be Western Pacific, Southern Pacific, and so forth, Rio Grande, but it's all Union Pacific, and it's got one competitor, and that's BNSF. And BNSF doesn't necessarily serve the same customers or come through the same territory. And so, in effect, the railroad system is a monopoly. And the agreement was originally, the U.S. government was going to give all of these millions of acres to the rail industry to develop the country. And in return, they would be a common carrier and carry freight and passengers of anybody who's interested in shipping. Here's what's happened in recent years, and it's been escalated by precision scheduled railroading. There's this thing called the operating ratio, and the railroads are fixated. There's what's called the fetish of the operating ratio, and they want an operating ratio down as low as 0.5. And that means for every dollar they take in, they want 50 cents profit. And if they can't get that 40 or 45 or 50 cents profit, they do not want your freight. Thank you. And so I got a statistic here that I think is fascinating. In 2006, the rail industry reached its peak of carloads shipped. 32.1 million carloads were shipped on the railroad in 2006. You'll never believe it, but that is the most ever shipped. So in the last 16 years, we're moving less freight. So in 2022, the rail industry shipped 25.4 million carloads, which by my math is 79% of what they shipped almost a generation ago. So for every 5 cars that they moved in 2006, they're only moving 4 carloads now. They're making a mess of it. They're not doing a very good job. They don't have enough rested crews to move their trains. Last year was almost a national meltdown. And so if you look at this and say, what in the hell are we doing as a society, as an economy? allowing a private industry, a cabal of 4 major rail carriers. Basically, they got the country by the balls. They got the industry of this country up against the wall, and the American people are paying the price, while record profits every quarter are turned in, and it's based upon, what do they do with those profits? Do they double track the railroad? Do they electrify? Do they extend sidings, increase the ability of the trains to get from point A to point B in a hurry? Good customer service, reliability? Hell no. All they have done is taken their profits and bought back stock, pumping their stock up to records unheard of in the rail industry in 150 years. This is the rail industry we have in this country. I would postulate it is a basket case. It's not operating in the interest of the country, and therefore it should be operated in the public interest like our rest of our transportation infrastructure.
And so you know, the way that to get something like this implemented would be, you would have to protest and you would have to shut down the railroad. So the way you get things done in a country where the government is run by capitalists is you have to stop capitalism in order for them to bend to your will, like the truckers did in Canada, in a sense. What do you see a willingness of workers to do something like that?
Well, I was on a Zoom call, including the president of the United Electrical Workers Union, Carl Rosen, and what Carl said is what I believe. Is this going to happen tomorrow or overnight? We don't know, but we're building a movement. We're building a movement of working people, not just in rail, but perhaps the energy sector as well, and many other sectors of the economy that for years have run amok and run roughshod over the American people. So we aim to change that consciousness. How many of my brothers and sisters on the railroad right now would agree with nationalization, public ownership? I'm not sure, but as Railroad Workers United propels this campaign forward, and more people learn, for example, about the history of nationalization in this country. And if I might, I just want to read a few statistics, and this is out of our resolution we adopted back in October. So the rail industry was actually once publicly owned, just for a few years during World War I. It was so popular that the railroad workers' ranks at that time voted in a national plebiscite. We had a lot more railroaders at that time. But in December of 1918, the combined total of railroad workers from all the crafts and all the unions voted 306,720 in favor of nationalization of the railroad, with just 1,466 wanting them to go back to public ownership. This is at the end of World War I. The AFL convention at that time in 1920 voted 29,000 and something to 8,000 in favor, once again, of keeping the railroads under public ownership. And so there was this thing called the Plum Plan. And Plum was a representative, he was a lawyer, and his idea was, instead of having these private Wall Street and today's hedge funds, for example, owning and running the railroad in the interest of private capital, let's have them run with a tripartite board of directors, which had a third of the board appointed by the feds to be in the interest of the American people, a third were railroad managers, and interestingly, a third were actually representatives of workers themselves through the trade unions. And so this would be really as American as apple pie. It's self-ownership, it's self-initiative, it's workers taking control and a personal interest in their own industry. So I highly recommend people study up on the old Plum Plan. It's a faded piece of history from 100 years ago, but it provides us, I believe, with a model that we could work from today to provide a much more efficient and safe, modernized railroad system that actually functions not in the interest of Wall Street hedge funds, but in the interest of workers, trackside communities like East Palestine, of course, shippers, passengers, and the environment.
Showing up on the first page of Google might not be the best for everyone, but for business owners it is.
And so, what in the near future? What is the RW, the Railroad Workers United? What do you plan on doing politically? Do you have any? I knew there was talk about a new party, a third party. What do you? Because you vote if you supported the Democrats, and then the Democrats crushed your union using fascist tactics. They got in bed with the tycoons of the railroad, and they crushed the workers. And so you can't go Democrat again, and you know you can't go Republican. So what do you do? Let me just before I throw it to you, Shama Sawan. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's the Seattle. So if you are, she's the Seattle City Council, and she's going to trying to start a nationwide workers movement. So go ahead. What do you do politically?
Yeah, I'm in touch with her, and it's the Workers Strike Back, and we hope to, cooperate in coalition with them to bring all these issues forward. It's the age-old question, Jimmy. I mean, we have been screwed by Tweedledee and Tweedledum, Democrat and Republican, for well over 100 years. And like I pointed out on the show when I was there, and back in, I think it was October or November, Democrat and Republican administration alike have broken our strikes, have ordered us back to work, and have played the game of, yeah, we're going to regulate and rein in the rail industry. But in fact, the rail industry actually emerges victorious in so many cases. The great socialist and the great labor leader Eugene B. Debs once said, I would rather live in a society where the government owns the railroads than a society where the railroads own the government. And we have seen this time and time and time again. So I was at the Labor Party founding convention in Cleveland in 1995, 96, I forget which year, I think it was 96. And one of the unions that was actually party to the founding of the Labor Party, and it was somewhat stillborn, doesn't really function to the best of my knowledge these days, but it was a great idea. And the idea was that unions and working people would front our own political party. And the slogan was, the bosses have two parties, we need one too. And so the Track Workers Union, the BMWE at the time, was one of 4 or 5 unions, including the mine workers, who have had their strikes broken by, the great Democrat Jimmy Carter, for example. The United Electrical Workers Union, which has always been a very, very outspoken, progressive, left-wing union, and I think the California Nurses. But interestingly, we actually did have a rail union participate at that time in the founding of a third party. Whether rail labor will actually take part in the founding of a new party remains to be seen. Now, for Railroad Workers United's part, for whatever it's worth, our little organization did talk with people from the People's Party a few years ago. And while we are not a member of the People's Party, or nor do we support or endorse any political party at this point in our history, we did promulgate a resolution that says railroad workers need to investigate the options that are before us to start a new political party. And we support the movement for a People's Party to investigate what those prospects are. And we would support the movement of just about any third party movement that is based in working people, railroad workers in particular, because our faith in the two-party system, after decades and decades of being screwed by it, is close to zero.
Well, I wish you well on this. The railroad is the glue that holds capitalism together in this country, and of course capitalism eats itself, and of course they're turned into a monopoly, and of course they're not taking care of the infrastructure. So again, people don't realize how corrupt our government is. It's 100% corrupt, which is why this railroad system can be like this. We don't have bullet trains like the rest of the world, the advanced world. We don't have anything like that. And what we do is we have a crumbling infrastructure, and where they're putting 1 and 2 people on 3-mile-long railroad cars. And the Democrats are just as bad as the Republicans. They all work for the same people. Ron Kamenikov, I really hope you could get something done with the Railroad Workers United. I hope you can start a workers' party. I hope you can join with Shama Sawant. I hope that we really need workers to join together and shut things down in America to get things done. And that's the only thing that they care about. And we all know that. And you know that railroad strike was going to work. And that's why they had to come in and crush it. That's why Joe Biden and the Democrats had to crush your strike before it happened, because it was going to work. And so with that knowledge, doesn't it make you all want to do it anyway?
Well, I can't speak for everybody, of course, Jimmy, but there was a huge pent-up anger and frustration that has been building for at least 2 decades now. Draconian attendance policies, massive furloughs, layoffs, job consolidations, all of us going to work knowing we don't have the proper tools to do the job, lack of maintenance, lack of inspection. I know signal maintainers and car inspectors that are just furious and very demoralized with the inability to do the job as they were trained to do it, and as they understand that the law says they are to do it, to say nothing of government or rail carrier policy and procedure. But there's all this pressure from the top to, once again, the cult of the operating ratio, to cut corners. Don't inspect, don't maintain. We don't have enough staff to do the job properly. Get the train out, get it over the road. And so, obviously, by the strike votes that were taken back in the fall, and just the outrage, you know that so many railroad workers wanted to finally collectively exercise their muscle and their strength and their solidarity and make an expression to the carriers and to the government. Unfortunately, we didn't even get a day on the picket line. But maybe next time we will. But this is something I think that most railroad workers are itching for a fight, because we know we can win and we know that we deserve better. And so, we're not counted out yet. We'll see what happens, of course, in the next round of bargaining.
Well, I hope you do strike. I hope you strike anyway, and because it would set a tone for the entire country, if not the entire Western world. You would win the strike. You would get whatever you wanted, and I just wish you would do it. I wish you would. This would be on the agenda number one for the RWU, is to strike anyway, and just to get just basic safety measures taken care of. I wish you would do it, and the government, you would break them. You would win. There's no doubt about it. You would win. And so I would encourage someone to be more militant at the railroad union, and I would hope you do it. Ron, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm sorry we don't have more time today. We got to run to get to our next guest, and you're welcome back anytime.
All right, Jimmy, I'll take you up on that. We got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.
If you want to see my stand-up special, become a member at jimmydork.com. It's only $10, and come see our live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Honolulu, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohost, New York, Hartford, and more. Here's another one. You go, is it true that Klaus Schwab and the WEF have penetrated over half of the Canadian cabinet? Hashtag true WEF puppet. Hashtag Trudeau sold out Canada. Those are good hashtags. Another ratio, 9,500. So just so you know, Klaus Schwab's, he is a puppet of the WEF. He was their young global leaders. And do you want to see how I know this? Because here's Klaus Schwab.
And I have to say, when I mention our names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the world.
What?
What we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the world.
Right. And that's true. Why? You don't got to put on robes and go hide in an island.
Half of his cabinet. Half
penetrated.
They've penetrated Justin Trudeau and his cabinet.
A wonderful young leader who will be penetrated.
So you're being... So again, this is the world order. This seems like the WEF and this kind of cabal of capitalists seem to be running every government.
Do you know what's interesting, Jimmy? You played it this time, and now I didn't...
I was saying I was back, went outside for a while, just announced my arrival back to the office. Good chance.
pick up on it the first time, but I knew nothing of Brazil. He almost slipped up and said Brazil, and I don't know when this was, but it was definitely before Lula. So he might have been ahead of his prediction by claiming hold of Brazil with the election of Lula. But I think this was before anyhow. But he said for a second, he's like Brazil or Argentina, but he has penetrated the Justin Trudeau cabinet.
So how it's right out in the open. I can't get over it. Like, he just says it. We've penetrated their cabinets. We've got the young global leader, Justin Trudeau. We've got him.
And he's the front man of this thing.
Yes. This guy looks and sounds like Dr. Evil, because he is. And he's talking. He's just on camera with a microphone, talking about how they have infiltrated all the global governments.
Jimmy, but you still have people who believe that Trump colluded with Russia. You still have people that believe it's safe and effective. You still have people that believe it prevents transmission. And I mean, there's Mark Twain. It's easier to fool people than it is to convince them they've been fooled. And this is all like, I remember discovering Agenda 2030, the Great Reset, and I thought it was too much. And then I see it as a PDF. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Even though they said that was an opinion piece, it wasn't a policy. And I have trouble accepting it. I can only imagine how the people who just want to work their jobs, they just want, peace and quiet, this would be too much. This would be like too many red pills at once.
Wait, I own nothing. Am I happy? Wait, I was happy?
Well, I want to show you this from the Monk debates. This happened November 30th of last year. And they're talking about the Canadian... they're talking about the news service and the media, and this is pretty interesting, and I want to get your comment on it.
Your Prime Minister decided in advance that these people were, what did he do? All the modern excommunications. They were Nazis, they were white supremacists, they were anti-Semites, they were probably...
So they're talking about the truckers and how they were covered in the press in Canada, and he's talking about Justin Trudeau calling him all those names.
Homophobes, they were misogynists, they were probably transphobes, etc., etc., etc. He did all the things you do in the modern political age if you want to just defenestrate somebody who's awkward to you. And then he brings in the Emergency Powers Act. Now, at such a time, what would the mainstream media do? It would question it. It would question it. The Canadian mainstream media did not. The Canadian mainstream media acted as an amen chorus of the Canadian government. I will give you a couple of examples, but ladies and gentlemen, I could go on for hours with examples of this. You had a CBC host describing the Freedom Convoy as a, quote, feral mob. You had a Toronto Star columnist saying, quote, sorry for the language, it's a homegrown hate farm that was then jet-fueled by an American right-funded rat-fucking operation. Jesus, they can't even write at these papers anymore. CBC said that 2 Indigenous women who were so scared to go outside in Ottawa because of racist violence didn't bother to mention that Indigenous drummers had led the truckers in an O Canada rendition. The National Observer said that the many black and Indigenous Freedom Convoy supporters were in fact duped by the truckers. The Globe and Mail reporter said, my 13-year-old son told me to tell protesters I'm not a Jew out of fear of anti-Semitic violence, without mentioning that one of the leaders of the convoy was himself Jewish. Now, why is this so rancid? Utterly, utterly rancid and corrupt. Because in this country, your media, your mainstream media, is funded by the government.
I like that, man.
So is that the problem? The idea that the government... So now we have the PBS here in America and NPR, which are garbage.
Bill Gates is our Trudeau government.
Bill Gates basically funds a lot of that, and then they get a lot more of their money from banks and polluters and the oil companies and stuff like that. And then they also get money from the government. So they get the worst of both worlds here in America. How does it work in Canada?
In Canada, I'm trying to think of like the advertising. The state-funded ones, CBC and
so
Radio Canada, they don't need to worry about advertising. They get $1.2 billion between the two of them. It's a combination of both. They are by the way, they're not just collaborators; they are orchestrators. When I was down at the protest, first of all, just to confirm what some of that gentleman said, I don't know what his name is.
I think it's.
I met a trans protester there. I interviewed the trans protester. Their name was Ari, and They did not suffer any hatred or verbal abuse until they crossed the line from the counter-protesters to the protesters, and you should have seen the counter-protesters turn on the transgender Ari like that person had just killed a puppy.
Like they were Jon Stewart questioning the Wuhan bat soup theory.
No, it was outrageous. I mean, first of all, I happen to be Jewish myself. There was not the slightest bit of anti-Semitism there. I interviewed black protesters. I interviewed, his name was Big Bull, a native man from Alberta who was doing the ceremony in the park. And then just to get back to the whole confession through projection, Justin Trudeau and his government are the actual racists. Oh, you minorities, you got duped. You're not able to think for yourself. You need Daddy Trudeau and the Daddy Trudeau government to tell you you're wrong. You don't know why you're wrong. It's okay, that we'll forgive you. It's I'd say the problem is the same, but what that guy said is 1,000% accurate.
Douglas Murray is his name.
Why would you see Malcolm Gladwell?
Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell, who just wrecked his reputation with that month
That was
debate.
the tipping point to nobody listening to Malcolm Gladwell anymore.
I mean, Malcolm Gladwell was already exposed as a shill for the tobacco industry, and
yeah, they do a great job in the media.
They do a great job.
Oh, wait, hold on. That's the same one when Malcolm Gladwell was telling Taibbi that
he's a racist.
Okay, I saw that portion. I didn't see
Wait,
the
he
whole.
told Taibbi he's a racist?
Yeah, he kept saying that he's a white male who likes these. Kept calling him whitey, and white guys.
American 2455, continuing traffic, 5 mile final, ILS 26.
Like to
Malcolm Gladwell.
Malcolm
said that.
Gladwell was saying that about Taibbi. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I don't know why. I think I would have remembered that speech if I had heard it, but I saw Malcolm Gladwell was like, "Oh, you want it to be like Walter Cronkite." Because you like it when old white men are in charge. I was like, it was.
How did you get anywhere in life, Malcolm Gladwell?
I have no idea.
Did you run that by your old white dad when you?
So yeah, Matt Taibbi and Douglas Murray were saying how journalism was better, and they talked about Walter Cronkite, and then he says, "Oh yeah, you like Walter Cronkite because you like it when white male men."
That's deliberately vile of Malcolm Gladwell.
Well,
he's
vile.
the big knowing, he's the big knowing the inside story.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't have thought of guy.
He was defending corporate news media. That was the thing he was doing there.
Nice to him.
But he could have done it in an intellectually honest manner. Like
that's
if
right.
you're debating and someone has to take up the devil's advocate.
American 2455,
There's a way to do it without.
6 at Bravo 4.
He's devil's PR is what he was.
Yeah. If you want to see my stand-up special, become a member at jimmydork.com. It's only $10, and come see our live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Honolulu, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, and more.
And we'll be talking to Gate via Charlie.
Best cities, and like all superior life forms, We're using Go City.
We get one pass for all the best sites.
And we're saving a ton, which means
More cheese triangles.
Go City and go see it all.
This is a great tweet. The future of capitalism is looking bright. Why? Well, let's look. What are these two headlines he tweeted out? One, it says smart locks could mean getting locked out of your apartment the minute your rent is late. Wow. Remember, they can't evict a person with active military service. That's another great reason to enlist.
Oh, that's true. And who are you going to complain to? Because it's going to be a company probably that's nowhere near where you live who's doing this remote.
Find the peace of mind, Kurt, that only basic training in Kharkiv can bring. I'll risk nuclear war if it means my family doesn't have to sleep in a tent. I'll tell you that. How about that? Ford files patent to allow self-driving cars to drive away from owners who don't keep up with payments.
Wow, that'll be the end of Repo Man. I used to work with a Repo Man back in the day. As I had to watch his back so he didn't get hit with a crowbar.
Phoenix traffic, southwest 1821 follow company 25 right. Stop.
Hi, Repo.
Wow. Wow.
And he'll probably drive away from you for whatever reason they feel like. You went to a drugger parade or a rally.
So now capitalism, immediate. Capitalism they're going to lock you out of your house, and they're going to, by the way, I'm sure there's going to be no abuse of this or mess ups.
Because it's a lease, the car, and your rent. You're going to own nothing.
Yes, and be happy.
Yeah. And wave into your car as it drives away.
Wow. Your car drives away. Who do you think you are, Henry Ford? Don't worry, they've also found a solution for global warming. You want to see their solution for global warming? When you're kicking back in this $5.9 million solar-powered floating home, you won't mind how high the sea level rises because you'll rise with it.
Wow, like Noah's Ark, but it's just me and some hose.
Wow. Finally, Squid Game for the professional class hurricane season needed some comic relief. Holy cow. Here's another one. The imagery of a car slowly inching away from its owner before speeding off because the owner is in debt is very funny if you ignore the horrific dystopian aspects of this.
Well, this is a little optimistic. What makes you think you're going to get to own a car?
Yeah, right? That's right. That's a lease.
Like every single thing, you see with the new BMW, I think it is. I think it's BMW or Mercedes. To get it to go to this top speed it's supposed to go, you have to pay a subscription. It's not like the Tesla where you got to pay to them to bring the code to unlock it. That's bad enough. This is going to be you got to pay $1,200 a month for the car to go as fast as your property should be able to go out of the box.
So what if you leave your what if you get out of your car and you left your dog in the car, and then the car just starts driving away with your dog in it?
I'm sure they'll handle it as well as they did the 2008 crash with people's homes. Mistakes were made.
Or you have a baby in the backseat.
Yeah.
And it just starts driving away.
So you mean like bonus downsizing?
Yes. I love innovation. Volkswagen wouldn't help locate a car with an abducted child because GPS subscription expired.
Wow, they're getting really back to their roots, huh?
Holy shit.
Getting really back to their Germanic roots with that cold indifference.
Hey, why help kids if, this is a good way to teach kids the value of $1.
You will own, yeah.
Right?
Wish we could find... Didn't you have the joke about they put the kids on milk when that was the only way to find them?
Yeah.
You had to drink milk?
It was supposed to be a joke. With the rise of self-driving vehicles, it's only a matter of time until there's a country song where the guy's trucks leaves him.
With his wife. A truck left with my wife locked in it.
If you leave me, okay, I know you'll be back someday. All I gotta do is pray and give blood every month or two. Just a year.
All I gotta do is pay.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yeah, go sell your blood. You get your truck back.
They should have it where the truck can actually take the blood from you out of it, There's like a breathalyzer, but of taking your blood.
Yeah. That right there. We can give you some money.
Yeah.
Here's my country song. Behind the wheel, my heart you'll steal. For baby, all I had to do was pay. Baby, Jesus, help me pay. Baby, Lord, it ain't a sin. It's just that healthy capitalism. Baby, all I had to do was pay. That's me, Jimmy Dore, the Stetson Sinatra. If you want to see my stand-up special, become a member at jimmydork.com. It's only $10, and come see our live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Honolulu, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohost, New York, Hartford, and more.
What happens when the prostate enlarges and the urine channel gets tight? Drinking warm water before bed shrinks a swollen prostate overnight. Men are regaining control over their...
So I want to show this. Justin Trudeau tweeted this out. He said, if you've got a question for me, now's the time to ask it. Send it by replying to this post, and then stay tuned.
What, for my bank account to be suspended?
Well, guess what?
Hey, everyone. As we approach the end of the year,
I know where this is going.
A lot of interviews with TV stations, with newspapers, with radio stations, and they've had a lot of great questions, but I know you do too. So let's hear them.
Okay, well, guess what? Somebody named Viva Fry ratioed him. I don't know if you know, but he got 9,000 likes on his tweet.
5.8 million views.
And out of 5 million views, over 6 million, almost 6 million views, he only got 9,000 likes. Viva comes in, bam, 15,000. And what did he say? He says, do you not think it's morally unacceptable to be giving billions of dollars to Ukraine while not having enough money to properly care for sick Canadians, who then, out of despair, turn to government-assisted death as opposed to life? Hashtag Trudeau Kevorkian. So
I'm not good on hashtags, but I'm good on ratios.
I like that hashtag.
Do you remember, Jimmy, when we were talking to the guy from the trucker protest? You had him on. And
Yeah.
He was saying how actually Biden administration was pushing a lot of that stuff with Trudeau.
Yes, he was,
because he's really just a tool, clearly out of casting tool.
Yes, Justin Trudeau is
so they're doing the stuff that, like, I guess they didn't think we could get accomplished here because we might have a trucker protest.
Yeah.
But I mean, his whole job is just to do that, right? Like, he's just there. Like, a lot of this is it trickles down
I guess from
NATO, really.
Yeah, exactly. So the people who actually run the governments, like in America, are they told him what to do.
There's really one big country called NATO, and that's why we
it.
all get to have the same beautiful gay flags.
That's right. So that was quite a ratio, and then.
Jimmy, if I may, just before you move on from that, just so everybody knows, Justin Trudeau has called it MAIDs, medical assistance in dying, which is his euphemism for euthanasia, which is another euphemism. Like another government once upon a time called them mercy killings. Justin Trudeau in 2021, under his regime, 10,064 Canadians were assisted in death in Canada. That's over it's like 3.2% of all death in Canada was government administered or government authorized. And why? A lot of these people said, I can't get proper care, I can't get proper lodging, and so I choose to die even if I don't have a terminal illness. And meanwhile, in Nova Scotia, 580 people died in an ER in 2021. It's happening across the country. But meanwhile, they'll assist death in the order of 3.2% of all death in Canada, while shipping billions of dollars to finance a foreign conflict. And then, hospitals are overrun. So I just wanted everyone to understand that Trudeau Kevorkian and the actual statistics of MAIDs, medical assistance in dying, which other governments have implemented under other euphemisms.
I saw
a commercial.
Yes,
you saw for that clothing store, and then the
Simons.
Because I wanted Ryan Long. I wanted to do a sketch about it where it's Tim Hortons. It's a guy named Tim Hortons talking about killing himself. But it's the craziest. It's almost like the Sam Smith devil thing, and it's like, why is Pfizer here? You're like, why is Simons weighing in on this? That's really strange.
Dying in a hospital is not what's natural. That's not what's soft. In these kind of moments, you need softness. It can take dying to figure out what living is actually like. I spent my life filling my heart with beauty, with nature, with connection, I choose to fill my final moments with the same. Last breaths are sacred. When I imagine my final days, I see music. I see the ocean. I see cheesecake. Even now, as I seek help to end my life, with all the pain, and in these final moments, there is still so much beauty. You just have to be brave enough to see it. And seeing the rhythms of what's gonna keep going after I'm gone bring a lot of comfort.
As long as this page doesn't say expired, which eventually will happen,
And do you know the ultimate, devastating punchline to that entire debacle? The woman in the video is called "Life is Beauty" or "Beauty and Everything." I forget exactly what the name was.
Yeah.
Simon's is a retail clothing store, and so I see this. It's a 3-minute video, and I'm like, oh, Simon's financed, gave her the money so she could make a tribute to her life. No, Simon's put together the video after the woman had ended her life with government assistance. And the ultimate tragedy of this whole story, she wasn't terminally ill either.
Oh, Tom, I saw him sitting down there. I just took off.
Yeah, my microphone wasn't working or something, but yeah, I saw you. I got it fixed. Trying to yap at you and I couldn't get it to work. Are you going back to Seattle?
She had an illness which was like the hardening of the arteries or the hardening of I forget exactly what it was. It's not a terminal illness. It reduces lifespan or life expectancy because sometimes people have hemorrhages or basically hemorrhagic bleeding. It's a very painful life condition, but it wasn't a terminal illness. And so Simons decides to dip their toe into the waters of euthanasia in Canada to celebrate a woman's decision to end her life because she had a condition that the free, wonderful, flailing healthcare system in Canada couldn't help her with. And meanwhile, another $1 billion off to Ukraine.
So is assisted suicide legal in Canada?
Oh yeah. No, it's been legal since 2016. Supreme Court said it was discrimination not to allow it. And full disclosure, or I guess full transparency, I believe in a person's right to choose to end their life with dignity when a number of extremely high thresholds are met, that being terminal illness, pain and suffering and no hope for improvement. In Canada, let's dig this to me, it'll blow your mind. When they're passing the law, a liberal parliamentarian, sua sponte said, well, wait a minute, do we want to allow mentally ill people to have avail themselves to medical assistance in dying? Because we don't want to discriminate against the mentally ill. And they said, well, no, we're going to exclude them now, so we're going to contain this exclusion that the mentally ill cannot choose euthanasia. But that clause sunsets in 3 years from the date of the law, which I think was 2019, give or take. And that clause is getting ready to sunset. They're getting ready to allow mentally ill people to choose to die, not because they're terminally ill, but because they have a mental illness that will not be cured. And they want to extend it to minors, and they've been having some discussions, and they had a committee panel, and they want to extend it to minors where the parents would not have veto power. It would be up to the state.
You gotta be
Jimmy,
kidding.
I swear to you. I swear. I mean,
Is it
I
called
just
Trugenics?
see, that's a hashtag right there. So it's and the numbers have gone from like it was 5,000 in 2019, 7,000 in 2020, 10,000 in 2021, and you know there's some projections that within 5 years, medical assistance in dying, euthanasia, whatever you want to call it, will be the leading cause of death in Canada. And the government's going to save money. They did some studies that said, don't worry, Canadian citizens, not only, this won't cost you any more money for the healthcare system, it might actually save us some money.
Sounds very corporate.
Well, I was going to say, no shit, Sherlock. And the black market that you might create for body parts might create an extra incentive to go convince people who can't get proper health care to just off themselves because they're a burden on the system, and we can make some money off your organs while we're done with it.
Does everybody just have the same government? It's like either you get a corporation the size of a country running it, or your country becomes a corporation and they downsize you.
I think that, it's funny you say it like that. I think the country becomes a corporation. It's something starts off as a principle, it turns into a corporation, or it turns into a business, and then money corrupts everything.
It sounds like the railroad. We just had this story before.
Yes, that's right.
It's like mutatis mutandis. It's the way of life. Like abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. It becomes an industry, and then it becomes promoted and limitless. And so you go from a principle that the majority of people can probably agree with, as they should agree with euthanasia. Someone with pancreatic cancer might not want to wait until their organs are burning out of their body. To let's a 23-year-old. One person in Canada confirmed she had multiple chemical sensitivity, aka allergies, couldn't get lodging that was adequate, clean air, and chose death, and 2 doctors signed off on it, and she was euthanized.
How allergic
can you be?
If you're that allergic, won't you just die like a peanut thing?
It's like multiple chemical sensitivity. I don't know if it's another name for an extreme form, but it was basically like things would trigger responses. She didn't want to die. She put out a video on Facebook. I don't want to die, but I can't go on living because the system can't handle it. And the system, we'll save some money off of that. And sorry, go for it.
It's just amazing to me that politicians like this don't realize how unpopular they actually are. And then they put out and they do things like this.
I think he's like Don Lemon. Like he knows you hate him. And I think you said it. Beaver Fry said it. He's like, just sips the wine and you're supposed to hate him.
I think he's a narcissist and truly doesn't understand it to some extent. But Jimmy, I ratioed him. I put out I was.
Well, here's another one. You want to see another one?
My wife is giggling because I'm laughing to myself. Every single one I put out was a ratio. And they're all legit questions. It's just that I'm a sassy asshole, so he's not going to answer them.
If you want to see my stand-up special, become a member at jimmydork.com. It's only $10, and come see our live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Honolulu, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohost, New York, Hartford, and more. More.
When's the last time you slept comfortably? The solution to your tossing and turning is simple, and it's at the Revive Sleep Center.
Hey, this is Jimmy. Who's this?
Jimmy, this is Senator Mitt Romney from the great state of Utah.
Ah! How you doing, Senator? Good to hear from you. And may I say, you seem to be on a real tear lately.
A tear? Pray tell, what kind of tear?
A tear, of talking trash.
Oh my, I wouldn't call the comments I've made lately talking trash per se. I'd call them talking shit. That's right, Mitt's talking shit. It used to be that people would talk shit about Mitt, but now fuck that. Now Mitt's talking shit. I felt so good shit-talking that little weasel George Santos Devolver Cougar Mellencamp to his face. I decided to keep doing it.
I see.
I even talked some shit about Pete Buttigieg, and I'm sticking by it.
What did you say?
I said that he wasn't prepared for his current role as transportation secretary, based on the fact that his previous position was mayor, as opposed to governor or being in charge of an analogous enterprise. Boom! Take that, bitch. You just got some mid shit.
Senator, that doesn't sound so bad, really. I mean, that's not talking shit, really. That's just a fair assessment.
Yeah, yes, but if I said that much, imagine all the things I'm probably thinking but don't say.
Like how deep down he's a little corporate consulting firm weasel?
Well, no, of course not. Some of my best friends are exactly those types of people. What I meant was, can you say high-profile diversity hire? Look, I don't comment on people's lifestyles as a rule. And if you want to hire someone with a minority sexual orientation, more power to you. But hire a qualified one.
Oh, all right.
Otherwise, enjoy your gay environmental disaster in Ohio. Enjoy your queer holiday airline travel collapse.
What? Right, I mean, right.
When I'm talking shit, Jimmy Dore.
That's right.
Talking that mid shit.
Okay, right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's another one. I gave her the business hard.
What did you say?
Well, Congresswoman Greene went on cable and suggested America get a national divorce, where the red and blue states separate into two different countries.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that idea was insane, and Abraham Lincoln had to deal with something similar. Boom! I got that bitch up against the ropes.
And then she said something nasty about you, Senator.
Oh, who gives a shit? Anyway, she shouldn't be angry with me. She should be angry with the cast iron skillet that did that to her face.
Oh, God.
Oh, burned again.
My goodness, Senator.
Oh, and that's not all.
Oh, no?
Not by a long shot, Buster Brown. Since we last spoke, I publicly stated that Donald Trump would most likely be the 2024 Republican nominee. And if that were the case, I personally would not be supporting him. Can you feel the seas boiling from the heat of that incendiary burn?
Again, this just seems like a bland statement of probability.
On the surface, perhaps. But much like Mitt Romney himself, you must look beneath the surface of that comment to get to the real meat of that comment. What does that imply? That no one else in the party has a chance against Donald Trump. None of my colleagues have what it takes to best him. DeSantis, Haley, Scott, none of these jokers. That my own party has been hijacked by such nutbag jagoffs that it's beyond saving or redemption. I burned my entire party, politicians and voters alike. I just burned millions with that statement. That, my friends, is how you talk shit. Talking shit mid-shit style.
I suppose so, Senator.
I don't know if you recall, but back in the day, I used to talk shit to you, Jimmy Dore.
No, I don't recall that.
Oh, you don't?
No.
How I would end every call with an expletive-laced invective against you personally?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Well, that's probably for the best. I've come to be very fond of you, Jimmy, and plus I'm a different person now.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Senator.
Of course. Well, I better be going. It was a pleasure as always, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Me too, Senator. Take care.
Oh, okay, take care, Jimmy. Oh, and one more thing.
Yes?
Hey, Jimmy. I hope you get ass ran by a British petroleum offshore pile driver so hard that your great-grandfather sees the error of his ways. And then titty slapped by a Tallahassee $5 crack whore so hard that you see into the future so far that you actually make a small fortune betting on the 2031 World Series, you puke-felching, butt-bongo-playing fuck monkey. Talking shit.
If you want to see my stand-up special, become a member at jimmydork.com. It's only 10.
Alright, Coming up on the top of descent here, as you can see, it's about 40 miles out. Coming in on the Seaview 2 arrival into KLAX. We'll be doing an RNAV approach. Let's see here. Look at my chart for you. Okay, Seaview, Crane, Tarak Demo Fueler. So, maybe a 2200 at Wavud. So I'm just gonna, I will just put the altitude setting at, like, you know, 150. No, I'll put it at 190, I think is what I want. Let me look at this. It says 178 on the FMC, so I'll just do that. I'm going to be turning off the autopilot long before that anyway. Sounds about right for me. It's our nav approach, so I don't have to put in any. I have to put in anything down here. I could punch the course in. I don't think I'm going to need that. Runway heading is 251. 251. So, kind of crosswind right now. The Salton Sea over here. Go ahead and the seatbelts back on. Four. All right. And you can hear the engine spooling back as we start to descend. And start to reduce speed. 259, 259, 280. That's strange. Why is it 259? Oh well.
From soup to nut. Saying
Still no ATC. Alright. You're on Unicom. Passing Palm Springs, there's the airport. All these things down here are windmills. We're generating electricity. There's a lot of wind comes through this pass right here. They show up a lot better at night. There's a red light on every one of them. And there's a lot of them. There's hundreds of them. And there's the mountains. Big Bear's up in here. Got some snow still on the mountains. Had a big storm come through last week. LA traffic, Pacific 7812, flight level 248 and descending via Seaview 2 arrival for the RNAV Zulu 25 left approach at LAX. LA. See what the missed approach looks like. 25 left. So climb 251 degrees, 2000 or above, and Catley, hold at Catley. Screenshot of that. Looks nice. Let's check a little nav map, see what kind of traffic's going on. It's actually pretty quiet. I've got what have I got here? I've got a C414 outbound KCNO, whatever that is, Chino. Yeah. And inbound, I think I got a Delta 3677. They don't have a flight plan. Why is that? They are climbing, so they probably departed San Diego. Okay, back to double check the weather. Three 3012. This is erroneous. There's no snow here. Sure looks nice though. They probably got some snow during that storm, but it would be all gone by now. I know it snowed in Ukaipa. A friend of mine who lives there put a video on Facebook. Unable to 70 knots at Seaview. Okay, good. That's fine. Don't do 270 knots, do less. Set our auto brakes to 2. we're passing Ontario Airport here. And I'm starting to slow down. We're coming up on 10,000 feet. We are required by FAA regulations to not exceed 250 knots indicated airspeed below 10,000 feet. Get some drag out.
Brooklyn number 30, taxi on land from Monaco, Long Beach.
Okay, we are about, looks like 10, 20, 30, a little over 30 miles out from the airport. LAX traffic, Pacific 7812. 30 miles out from LAX on the RF Zulu 25 left approach, Los Angeles. See it. See our speed gradually decreasing as we descend. And 158 there. Our approach speed is 153, so it'll be at 158. Approach speed plus 5.
Los Angeles traffic, Alaska 1312, push back from 54 Alpha.
Is this that same guy with he has no flight plan either? Delta 3677.
To the Alaska, they just called it Los Angeles. By chance, would you mind giving me an idea what the visibility is like down there?
Visibility for KLAX is 10, few at 1500, few at 7000, scattered with 15, scattered at 25.
Appreciate that. For whatever reason, my meter wasn't updating properly.
Oh. I can see the airport now. Starting to drop below the cloud layer.
Alaska 1312, taxiing runway 25 right, India, Charlie 8, Bravo.
Los Angeles traffic, Delta 3677 is making a left-hand turn for heading 340, Los Angeles traffic.
Okay, he's behind us now. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna arm the spoilers here. LAX traffic, Pacific 7812, 10 mile final. RNF 25 left.
Los Angeles traffic, Delta 3677, turning left heading 264.
Okay.
2500.
Okay, we're on MCP speed now, so I have to go to 158 here. Five, 30. All right. Flaps are set, auto brakes are set, gear is down. Going to disarm the auto throttle.
1000.
Turn off the autopilot and we are in control of the aircraft. My controls. LAX traffic, Pacific 7812, short final. Runway 25 left. It's a little breezy, we're getting too high. Some altitude here. Come We're back up on it. Here we go.
500.
Take some
400.
throttle out.
300. 200.
Minimums, continue.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Very nice landing. Why is the reverser only coming on one side? Something's wrong with my setup all of a sudden. This happened in another aircraft. Okay, here we go. LAX traffic, Pacific 7812, clear of runway 25 left. Is there somebody? Jesus Christ. I'm trying to think, was there somebody who's, I'll stop right here and check on the little nav map, see if there's anybody who is departing on 25 right. Okay, nobody, okay. LAX traffic, Pacific 7812, crossing 25 right at Juliet. Is somebody, but they're still taxiing, right? LAX Pacific 7812, clear of 25 right, taxiing to the gate via Bravo.
Los Angeles traffic, Delta 3677 is on a 15-mile final inbound runway 24 right. LAX traffic.
Now that's the guy that I was looking at on a little nav map. I thought he left from San Diego, but I couldn't tell. He doesn't have a flight plan filed. Alright, let's get the APU started. Taxiing down to Charlie 7. That's Bravo 7. Taxi lights, but I forgot to turn them on. This should be Charlie 8, and then we go one more. 7 right here. It seems like he's back away from the gate quite a bit. Slide off.
Los Angeles traffic, Delta 3677, short final runway 24 right.
Okay, we've got parking brake is on. Transponder off. Engines off. If you bleed on.
Los Angeles traffic, Alaska 1312, lining up 25 right. Lady J departure. Los Angeles.
Okay, menu, actions, ground services, chalks, yes. We got a pit power, yes, request that. Request jetway. Aft galley request. And forward loaders and carts. And we have ground power. And we can now turn off the APU. Pumps all off.
Los Angeles traffic, Alaska 1312, departing runway 25 right. Lady J for departure, Los Angeles.
Return, doors.
Los Angeles traffic, Delta 3677, clear runway 24, right at Alpha, crossing 25, or 24 left at Alpha, Los Angeles traffic.
Alright, let's see what ACARS has to say about our landing. It felt pretty good to me. Yeah, 135 feet per minute. G-force 0.96, that was good. Landing speed 125, landing flaps 30. Okay, file that flight. Pay no attention to my cell phone blowing up.
Los Angeles ground, American MD-80 pushing back from stand 75 Alpha, Los Angeles traffic.
Where's my... Why was my beacon still on? Alright.
Los Angeles traffic, Delta 3677 clear, runway 24 left, taxiing to the gate via Echo Delta 9, Los Angeles traffic.